Hello everyone. As we have completed our introductory part of the lesson, Evans tries an O level yesterday. So here we will have a line by line or a paragraph explanation video. One thing is that I have got suggestion in my previous video to exclude the background music and to explain the paragraphs in Hindi. Students, it is a very nice suggestion and I welcome it with the core of my heart. Actually, the purpose of including the background music was to reduce the humming sound. When I record my video with microphone, I found some noise which doesn't seem good while listening. So I include some melody to reduce it. However, I just increase the background music this time, but next time I will keep the level of background music at lowest. Students, the next thing is about Hindi explanation. The tutorial video of education requires a lot of things such as time limit, perfection and clarity in a very concise way. If it will be a classroom, then I would have a sufficient time to explain it Hindi because it will be a regular period and I would have at least 45 minutes for one bill. So there will be no time limit. It is literature and it demands a lot of time. So let the school be open and there will be no problem. I also welcome your queries anytime. So, okay, I think we should start now. So, before you read, it has been given your textbook that should criminals in prison be given the opportunity of learning and education. There are some persons in this drama, in this chapter, hereby it has been listed. The Secretary of the Examination Board, the Governor of HM Prison, Oxford, James Evans, a prisoner, you may call it a protagonist or antagonist, the both. Mr. Jackson, a prison officer, Mr. Stephens, he is also a prison officer, the Reverend S. McLeary, an invigilator, and Mr. Carter, detective superintendent, and Mr. Bell, detective chief inspector. So the paragraph starts with the line that all precautions have been taken to see to it that the O-level German examination arranged in the prison for Evans does not provide him with any means of escape. So the paragraph reveals all the precautions which had been taken by the authorities of the examinations board to conduct the O-level exam in German language so that Evans could not take any advantage to escape from the prison. It was in early March when the secretary of the examination board received the call from Oxford prison. It's a slightly unusual request, Governor, but I don't see why we shouldn't try to help. Just the one fellow you say. So in the beginning of the March, the secretary of the examinations board had a call from Oxford prison. He replied that it was a strange request, but at the same time, he agreed to help the person who had called him. He also inquired of to confirm if there was just one person. That's it. Chap called Evans started night classes in O-level German last September. Says he's dead keen to get some sort of academic qualification. So here the governor confirmed that there was only one person for the examination whose name was Evans. He added some more information about Evans by saying that he had started night classes in O-level German last September. He had a keen interest in achieving educational qualification. Is he any good? He was the only one in the class, so you can say he has had individual tuition all the time. Really, would have cost him a packet if he had been outside. The secretary asked whether Evans was good at studies or not. Then the governor replied that she was the only one who attended classes. So they can guess that he received individual tuition for the course he was provided. Here, cost him a packet means to cost a lot of money. The governor added that it would have cost a lot of money if he had taken such classes outside the prison. Well, let's give him a chance, shall we? That's jolly kind of you. What exactly is the procedure now? So, on hearing this, the secretary agreed to give him a chance. The governor appreciated his decision and also asked about the whole process. Oh, don't worry about it. I will be sending you all the forms and stuff. What's his name? You say? Evans. James Roderick Evans. It sounded rather grand. So the secretary assured the governor not to be worried about that, as he would send all the forms required for the examination. He asked the prisoner's name and the governor replied that his name was James Roderick Evans. Just one thing, governor. He is not a violent sort of fellow, is he? I don't want to know his criminal record or anything like that, but so the secretary also demands for the clarification whether Evans was a sort of violent person or not, because he didn't want to have any criminal record of him. No, there's no record of violence. Quite a pleasant sort of chap, they tell me. Bit of a card, really. One of the stars at the Christmas concert. Imitations, you know the sort of thing. Mike Yarwood stuff. No, he's just a congenital kleptomaniac, that's all. The governor was tempted to add something else, but he thought better of it. He would look after that particular side of things himself. So the governor said that there was no such record of violence, but he is a nice guy with a bit of humor, and he is also a star at the Christmas musical performance where he used to imitate like Mike Yarwood. So here the governor compared him to the comedian Mike Yarwood because of his coping acts. He also added that he had been suffering from kleptomania, which urged him to steal. Here congenital kleptomania means a inborn habit or a very strong wish to steal that you cannot control. Now the governor wanted to tell something more, but decided that it would be better to stop providing a further information because he is enough to deal with the next step of conducting the exam. Presumably, said the secretary, you can arrange a room. Where? No problem. He is in a cell on his own. If you have no objections, he can sit the exam in there. That's fine. And we could easily get one of the parsons from St. Mary Max to invigilate if that's. The secretary asked the governor if he could arrange a room for the exam. The governor replied that there was no such problem because Evans was in his own lockups. So they could conduct the exam there if the secretary had no problem with it. The secretary found it suitable. The governor also told him that they would call a churchman from nearby church, St. Mary Max, who would keep an eye on Evans during the examination. Fine. Yes, they seem to have a lot of parsons there, don't they? The two men chuckled good naturedly, and the secretary had a final thought. At least there one thing, you shouldn't have much trouble keeping him incommunicado, should you? The governor chuckled politely once more, retreated his thanks and slowly cradled the phone. Evans? The secretary laughed that the church had a good number of priests and one could be assigned for the job of supervision. The secretary questioned the governor if it was easy to stop Evans from communicating with the other persons. Here, incommunicado means not able to or allowed to communicate with other person. So in his statement, he wanted to say that he must keep him quiet during the exam and nobody will enter in that place. The governor laughed and thanked him for accepting his request. He then put the receiver of the phone back on the rest and called for Evans. Evans the Break, as the prison officer called him. Thrice he had escaped from prison, and but for the recent wave of unrest in the maximum security establishment up north, he would not now be gracing the governor's premises in Oxford. And the governor was going to make absolutely certain that he wouldn't be disgracing them. Not that Evans was a real burden, just a persistent nagging presence. So these lines means that Evans had already escaped from prison 3 times because there was a wave of unrest. That means lack of proper security management at that time in the north. And now he has been shifted to Oxford prison gracing the governor. It is said sarcastically and it means that it was the responsibility of the governor to make sure that Evans should not disgrace him, means that he would not escape from the prison this time. Evans was not a burden, his presence was just uncomfortable for the governor. He would be alright in Oxford, though the governor would see to that, would see to it personally. And besides, there was just a possibility that Evans was genuinely interested in O-level German. Just a slight possibility. Just a very slight possibility. At 8:30 p.m. on Monday 7 June, Evans' German teacher shook him by the hand in the heavily guarded recreational block just across from D Wing. The governor planned to supervise him personally when he visited Oxford. It was possible that Evans was actually interested in adding up to his qualification by learning German. On the 7th June, Monday at 8:30 p.m., the German teacher shook hands with Evans at the high security in the recreational block which was across the D Wing. Hereby, the teacher had completed the course and he was to see him off. Now let me tell you about the D Wing. In the United Kingdom, prisoners are divided into 4 or 5 categories of security. Every adult in prison is assigned a different category, all depending on the crime they committed, the sentence, the risk of escape, and violent tendencies. A wings provided to those prisoners whose escape would be highly dangerous to the public, to the police, or the security of the state. Wing B is for those prisoners whom the highest conditions of security are not necessary, but for whom escape must be made very difficult. C is for those who cannot be trusted in open conditions but who do not have the resources or will to make a determined escape attempt. And D Wing is for those who can be reasonably be trusted in open conditions. However, there are at present no open prisons in Northland, Ireland, Scotland or Wales. However, the level of securities in these regions are very different to one another. Guten Tag, Herr Evans. Pardon? I said good luck. Good luck for tomorrow. Oh, thanks. Danke son. You haven't a cat in hell chance of getting through, of course, but here in this paragraph, let's understand the meaning. So the German teacher wished him luck in German language, but Evans couldn't understand it. Later, Evans realized it and thanked the teacher. The teacher commented that Evans was not prepared and did not even have the slightest chance to pass the exam. Here, Guten Glück means good luck. Ho means Mr. Dankeschön means thank you very much. And haven't cat in Hell's chance means to be completely unable to achieve something. I may surprise everybody, said Evans. At 8:30 the following morning, Evans had a visitor, two visitors, in fact. He tucked his grubby string waist into his equally grubby trousers and stood up from his bunk, smiling cheerfully. Morning, Mr. Jackson. This is indeed an honor. So Evans at this said that it was possible that he will clear the exam and would surprise everyone. Here he said it ironically, as his intention was not to pass the exam and to surprise everyone, but to escape from the prison. So the next morning at 8:30, Evans was visited by two men. He pushed, tucked means pushed. So he pushed his dirty string waist into his dirty trousers and stood up from his bed that was attached to the wall. Grubby means dirty. So he greeted Mr. Jackson cheerfully and said that it was an honor for him that he visited his cell early in the morning. Jackson was the senior prison officer on D Wing, and he and Evans had already become warm enemies. At Jackson's side stood Officer Stephens, a burly, surly looking man, only recently recruited to the profession. Jackson nodded curtly. And how's our little Einstein this morning then? Jackson was the senior prison officer of D Wing, and both Jackson and Evans were enemies. Here, burly means large and strong man, surly means bad tempered, cutly means short. So Mr. Stephens, who was newly appointed officer and a strong looking man with bad temper, had come along with Mr. Jackson. Jackson greeted him briefly and asked him about his well being and made fun of him by calling him Einstein. Wasn't he a mathematician, Mr. Jackson? I think he was a Jew, Mr. Jackson. Here Evans dropped H letter here. It means he a mathematician and he was a Jew. Ivan's face was unshaven and he wore a filthy looking red and white bobble hat upon his head. Give me a chance, Mr. Jackson. I was just going to shave when you burst in. So Evans replied in a similar way by pointing him out that Einstein was a mathematician and then said that he thought he was a Jew. Here Evans wanted to point out that there was no match between Einstein and him. Evans had not shaved and he was wearing a dirty hat on his head. He asked Jackson to excuse him as he was going to shave when both of them entered his cell. Which reminds me, Jackson turned his eyes on Stephens. Make sure you take his razor out of the cell when he is finished scraping that ugly mug of his. Clear? One of these days he will do us all a favor and cut his bloody throat. So, after hearing him, Jackson told Stephen that this reminded him that Stephen must take away his razor as soon as he had completed shaving his ugly looking face. Sarcastically, he also added that one day Evans does a favor for the prison officer by cutting down his throat with a razor. For a few seconds, Evans looked thoughtfully at the man standing ramrod straight in front of him. A string of Second World War medals proudly paraded over his left breast pocket. Mr. Jackson, was it you who took my nail scissors away? Evans had always worried about his hands. Evans gave a thoughtful look at his strict supervisor who had medals from the Second World War lined up on the left side of his blazer on the breast pocket. He asked Mr. Jackson if he had to take his nail scissors. Evans always worried about how his hand looked. And your nail file too. Look. For a moment, Evans' eyes smoldered dangerously, but Jackson was ready for him. Orders of the governor, Evans. He leaned forward and leered, his voice dropping to a harsh, contemptuous whisper. You want to complain? Evans shrugged his shoulders lightly. The crisis was over. Then Jackson replied he would take his nail file too. At this, Evans got angry and his eyes started glowing with anger. Jackson was ready for this and she answered that it was the governor's order. Here, leered means saw bitterly, contemptuous means disrespectful, shrugged means dismiss. So he bent towards him and asked in a whisper tone whether he wanted to complain. But Evans denied by moving his shoulders because he thought that there was no trouble of it. You have got half an hour to smarten yourself up, Evans, and take that bloody hat off. Me? Your hat means hat. Huh. Evans put his right hand lovingly on top of the filthy woolen and smiled sadly. Do you know, Mr. Jackson, it's the only thing that's ever brought me any sort of luck in life. It means of luck in life. Kind of lucky charm. It means kind of lucky charm. If you know what I mean. And today I thought, well, with me exam and all that. So here Jackson reminds Evans that he had only half an hour to get ready and also told him to remove his dirty hat. But Evans moved his hand towards his dirty woolen hat and smiled sadly. He told Mr. Jackson that he wanted to take it with him as it was his lucky charm. He tried to explain it that it would bring his luck in the exam, so he should not ask him to remove his hat. Buried somewhere in Jackson was a tiny core of compassion, and Evans knew it. So Evans knew that Jackson was sympathetic towards him. Okay guys, our first part ended up and I hope that I have tried well to explain it and to make it easy for you. You are most welcome to drop your queries wherever you didn't get it. Thanks a lot my dear students. Thanks a lot.